I'm with the local CBS station. I'm just holding a few other microphones.
Okay, got it. That's great. Who do I look?
At me, if you don't mind.
What's your name?
So, Christina. It's nice to meet you. So, I'm sure you've heard there was a threat on your life. A man was arrested, allegedly wanted to hurt you at this Portsmouth event this morning. Just what's your reaction to that?
I think my reaction was, first, I think we don't have all of the facts, but based on what we know, I'm grateful to law enforcement for responding as rapidly and as effectively as they did. I'm also grateful to my team and even many retired New Hampshire police officers and New Hampshire police officers in local PD, and some of whom, one is a retired New Hampshire officer who helps us on his spare time when we're in town. He's in the room right now. I'm grateful to the team that keeps us safe, and I pray for the safety of every American, including everybody who's in this process. I think that we certainly live in a challenging time, and I hope that everyone is safe, and it's my job as a leader to hopefully set a good example for this country.
Have you had other experiences like this on the trail so far?
I think that I'm grateful for the team that's around us, and they've been doing a great job in making sure that I'm kept safe. And we have, between retired police officers and ex-military and otherwise, I feel very secure in the position we're in. And I'm immensely grateful to the team that keeps me safe, and hopefully all of the other candidates safe through this process as well.
Are you grateful for security?
I'm going to tell you exactly what I just said, which is I'm grateful to the team that we have in place, and I'm grateful to the men and women who have made sacrifices to keep myself safe and other candidates in this process safe. The local PD in New Hampshire has been excellent in each of our visits here, including in this visit, including handling this incident. The retired police chiefs and others who have been immensely helpful to us. And so I'm confident that we have a solid security team in place. And more importantly, I pray for the safety of every American. And I'm running to lead this country for a reason, and I want to lead us to a place where Americans don't have to worry and look over their shoulder for fear of what's happening in cities across this country.
You've also called for closing the FBI, including at today's event in Portsmouth. We now know that the FBI was involved at least with arresting the man who heard about that event. Does that make you rethink that stance at all?
Actually, to the contrary, if you listen carefully to what I've said at every instance where we go into any more than a talking point about this, I said the 15,000 frontline agents are doing immensely important work, and that these are good people. But we need to reorganize them to the U.S. Marshals, to the DEA, to the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, where they have greater specialization and are able to really carry out their tasks without a lot of the bureaucratic overblow. So to be precise about that, I've responded at every step of the way, and I know many. I've met over the course of the last several years many line-level officers who are doing outstanding work and making sacrifices for this country. And 15,000 line-level officers, I've said we're keeping them, but we're going to reorganize it in a way that allows them to better perform their duties. And I'm immensely grateful to the people, including the local law enforcement, who I don't want to have forgotten in this, who actually did an outstanding job. And I'm grateful to the people on the front lines who work hard every day to make sure that people like me and other Americans are kept safe. So I'm grateful for that.
As a quick follow-up, when did you find out about this?
I'm going to, for the sake of respecting the law enforcement's investigation and the facts as they're unfolding, I'm not going to go into the details of this, and I'm going to leave it out of respect to the law enforcement, leave it to them. What I will say is that we feel very secure in the position that we're in, and that I am grateful to the team that's around me and the robust team effort that it takes to keep people like myself and the other presidential candidates safe. And so I'm grateful to them for that, and we feel very secure with the full team that we have around us. That's what I'll say.
We do know. Last Friday in Iowa, you spoke a little bit about your safety and your family.
I was asked about it.
Excuse me. Have you been able to speak to your family today after everything has unfolded, and what have they said?
I spoke to Purva, and our kids are too young to understand what's going on, and so I intend to keep it that way. I don't think we're going to talk to our kids about this one. Purva and I had a conversation, and she understands that we're in this for a purpose. We understand that it comes with all kinds of risks. She's a hero for what she does every day. She saves and improves lives on a daily basis. I mean, she's somebody who came 3 weeks out of pregnancy, out of our first son being born. I haven't told the story much on the campaign trail, but she went to the front lines to treat patients who she knew she was going to get sick. This is in the early stage of the COVID pandemic, right? Nobody knew what this virus was. She's an airway surgeon. That's her specialty. So 3 weeks after our son Karthik was born, she could have taken a 6-month maternity leave. 3 weeks back, she was doing open airway surgery. Expectedly, got sick, and I took care of our son during that period. And I say that because she's somebody who understands more than most that we all have to make a sacrifice to do what we believe we were put here to do. And she's incredibly supportive of what we're doing. She's also a smart person, and I'd like to think that both of us have a good head on our shoulders to know that we're going to, and have taken basic precautions. I think that we are very well protected. Even many of the people in this state, and even when we're traveling in Iowa and other places, we're very well protected. And I'm confident that both the teams on the ground as well as God. God is what gives me my ultimate protection and sense of purpose. My faith is what brought us to this journey, and I'm not going to let go of that faith through this journey either. So thank you. I appreciate it.
We know that the complaint also detailed threats against another candidate. We don't have any more information about that. But it was also made last week. What do you think, 2 threats against 2 candidates made last week, what do you think that says about the state of this race here?
Look, I'm not going to go into the details, as I said, about the specifics. I'm going to be respectful of law enforcement to let them carry out their investigation without my comments getting in the way of that. Look, I think that it's not good when you have people threatening mass violence in this country. And I do think that we have to, as leaders, step up and do our part to address some of the root causes here. And I've talked about that extensively on the campaign trail. I think we got to get to the root cause of a lot of the ailment in our country. And, I am going to do my part to continue to stick to why we're in this race and realize our purpose. I'm going to just maybe take, if the people have questions on a different topic, I'm going to take it. I'm happy to, address a few things off air if that's necessary, but I want to be respectful of law enforcement as this plays out.
One on
A system founded on the rule of law. And we've been imperfect in other parts of our national history where it was certain of those factors that didn't ensure equal justice under the law. But today, I think the greatest version of injustice or multiple standards under the law depend on your own political beliefs. And I do not think that your political beliefs should affect the way you're charged. I think they have for the last several years. And that's going to end on my watch. That's what I would say. Thank you. Last one.
Chris Christie at the debate made comments after the debate about, your back and forth with Nikki Haley being somewhat about gender and having kind of a gendered undertone. What is your response to that? My response to that, it is sick when the Republican Party tries to become the party of identity politics, trying to emulate Kamala Harris like she's some hero. I was talking about my wife earlier. I married the strongest woman I know in my life, and I stand for every American, man or woman, achieving not only the maximum of their potential, but I think it is sexist to use identity politics to try to shield someone else from criticism. I think that is, and I've seen several women writing about this after the debate as well, who have found it offensive, the idea that somebody tries to use their gender, and Nikki Haley purposefully trying to play that card as a way to immunize herself from criticism. I think it's bad enough when the Democratic Party does it. It's even worse when Republicans try to play the same game. My view is, if Donald Trump were going to get criticized or asked questions for releasing his tax returns, then Nikki Haley should answer the same questions. I think that she needs to release 20 years of her tax returns, as I've done. Ironically, as she was calling on Donald Trump to do in 2016. She joined the Democrat call to call on Donald Trump to release his tax returns, and then has the gall not to publish her own. And she also owes it to the American people to list the clients of Allied Defense LLC. Who are the clients of your military contractor? If you're somebody who is clamoring for war, supporting the war in Ukraine and otherwise, you owe it to the American people to at least disclose that client list. That non-transparency is an abysmal indictment of the state of our politics, the state of the Republican Party, and blowing woke smoke, even if it's in the form of gendered commentary by her. That doesn't deflect. It's not going to work with me, certainly, to deflect accountability that we would bring to, as she was trying to do to Donald Trump. Well, now
what goes around comes around, and playing the gender card should not be something that immunizes you from answering those basic questions. And so I call on her to do what I've done, call on her to do what she called on Trump to do, release her own tax returns, and release the client list of her military contractors so that the public knows whether her family stands to make money, as the Biden family has, from wars in Ukraine and elsewhere. She owes it to the American people to do that, and no amount of gender card playing is going to deflect that level of scrutiny.
All right.